Hello gamers. I'm gonna redo this beverage elevator tutorial because my old one's really not very good. So yeah, first you want to open the door by using this button, wait for it to open. You can do that by hiding and then just coming back. You want to be in this corner, and there's two methods of doing this. I'm gonna say right now that I would recommend method number 2 over number 1. But I'm going to start by showing number 1 just because it's the oldest and the most used. So number 1 is coil jumping in the corner and then turning and scrolling. Nice. I don't do this one anymore, so I'm not the best at it. It looks like that. Method number 2 is coil jumping at this and then switching to holding S instead of W. Like that. Which I think is easier. But yeah, the first thing you need to be careful of is where you jump. If you jump too far away, you're not gonna like land in the right place to clip. You need to get as close as you can to the corner before you jump. Like it should look like you can't even jump anymore before you jump. You don't want to be jumping here. This is too early. You want to be like right up in there. The second thing is when you do your coil, you want it to be pretty instant. You can do it with space if you want, but this will happen a lot. You can see how I'm hitting space like just before, and it's not. So I would avoid using space. I would use the scroll wheel. My setup is just scrolling down and then back up pretty much immediately. Like this. So yeah. You basically want to do a coil jump instantly. And you'll see that just right at the tip of the jump, you stop and float for a bit, and then you come back down. And during that float at the top is when you want to be doing your scroll. Alright, so now that we know that, we know what we're doing, we just need to add one more thing where we look to the left as we do it. Because if we look straight forwards, we're not going to clip. We need to look slightly to the left. As long as your vectors are lining up with this button right here. Like if you're too deep in like this, it's not going to work for some reason. Well, it will, but like if you look away from it, it won't. So you want to, like if you use the button at this angle, you won't clip it. You need to be like facing it. And if you turn too much, then it's also not going to activate because you're not inside the vector. If that makes sense. Anyway, so you want to be running up to it, jumping pretty much right in the corner. And then after that, you want to add a turn to the left. You don't have to spin all the way around like I do. I just kind of do this. And then you want to be scrolling at the peak of the jump as well. The timing is not very easy. It's going to take a lot of time to get used to. and it's going to be very scary and runs at the start. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. And that's why I prefer using scroll wheel, because it just feels weird to me with spacebar. So I scroll, coil, and then I scroll up. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. But the most important things you need to know are be close to the button before you jump. Around here-ish is good. And then scroll right at the peak of the jump. You can also use reaction time for this if you want. But I wouldn't really recommend it. It only makes the timing a bit harder because you have to build more time into your muscle memory. I don't know, this just doesn't really work out for me. You can do that if you like. The second way of clipping is pretty much the same, but instead of turning the camera and holding W the entire time, which you should be doing for the other one by the way, I realized I just forgot to say. So you should be jump coiling like this. But with this method, as soon as you jump coil, you start holding S instead of W. And then you scroll pretty much up just after that. It looks something like that. This makes it a lot more easier. Like this scroll timing is way more lenient when you hold S. So I would recommend doing this method over the other one. You just want to get as close as you can. Coil jump, hold S, and then scroll. Again, I would avoid using reaction time. It's much easier without it, I think. You just want to be... I'll do some out here so you can just watch my inputs. Yeah, I would recommend doing this second version without reaction time. It's a lot more consistent. So then we do that to get on top of the elevator.
Welcome to the Shard. Constructed.
Let's get back on top real quick. Okay, so when we get on top, avoid walking in the middle. If you walk over this, you're going to fall through it because it's not got collision. So what you want to do is see these two coil winds. Just want to stand between them like this and then look forwards. And as the thing goes up, you want to look in line with this building, but straight forwards. And then as it passes the top right here, you start holding forwards. So you walk off, and then you look a little bit to the right. Just enough to see this vent right here. So you go up and then forwards, and then you'll start falling down again. And that's when you want to be looking right, because you'll see this vent coming past your screen. So ideally you want to like be paused right now, and then you'll just kind of like buffer your way down. And the optimal place to have this great thing right here is just above the middle of this objective screen. So as long as it's like here or anywhere above, you're fine. But if you can't see it anymore, that's usually pretty bad. You want to avoid that. So there's bad, probably. So you would do a really fast one. And that's a perfect position. That might also work, but it's really bad if you can only see a tiny bit of it. So let's try put all those together. Gonna be watching here and then walk forwards. Pause. Buffer my way down. I can see that not low enough, so I'll do one more. I just barely land inside this room right here. If you fall under this room, the vent was too high, and that means you either don't really understand what I'm saying about where the vent should be, or it could also be that when you nice. It could also be that when you walk off like this, you're looking up as well. Don't look up. Up is bad. Because it ruins the whole setup. Because now it looks good, but it's not good. Or it is good. You get the idea. Just don't do that. Just keep everything consistent. Always keep the camera like on the level that it should be. Just keep it straight forwards. Forwards, right, pause. And then buffer until you see it halfway up your screen. That's probably fine too. But that's like on the edge of being good and bad. Because you can see I'm clipped into the floor. But yeah, once you land in here, just run straight forwards. There's a door to the right, but you don't have to go there. Just this whole trigger right here is the thing. So just run forwards. I don't think there's anything else I'm missing. But if there's something you don't understand, feel free to shoot me a message. I'll go over it once more. And all the things you should be doing. So you should be getting as close to this as you can before you jump. You should be holding forwards the entire time. Unless you're doing method number 2, where you should be holding forwards until you jump and then holding backwards. Then you should be scrolling like at the peak of your jump. And then you should be avoiding this in the middle, standing between these coils. And then walking off as your crosshair touches the top of this. If you wait too long, like here or something, you might think that's fine and you'll have more time to do this, but you'll actually just die when you touch the ground inside. So yeah, once you've done that, just quit to the menu and load back in. You should land in the sniper area. Hope that helps.